Yes, hello, I'm Steve Smith. I'm going to talk about 3 ways that you can screw up platform engineering. Now, the last time I did this talk, it was very different, wasn't it? I was in Las Vegas speaking at a technology leadership summit. As I was just saying to Nicholas, at that conference, I came out to the British national anthem. I then denied being British. I said that I was from Quebec to prove my American credentials. And I accused all the Americans in the room of living in a society in which you can't openly talk about problems, thus making digital transformation a little bit tricky. That went down really well in America. And it turns out that if you adopt the onstage persona of a British person having some kind of professional breakdown, people really like that. But of course in Denmark you can't do that, can you? I can't stand here and pretend to be Danish, because the Danes in the room are thinking, I'm Danish. Why would you want to be like us? So what we're just going to do is we're going to not talk too much about Denmark and the fact that every meal seems to involve bread and apple juice. And we're just going to kind of crack on and talk about platforms. So I'm the global head of technology at scale at Equal Experts. I'm an engineering leader who likes to advise other engineering leaders. Equal Experts is a global, experts-only technology consultancy. Been going for about 18 years now. I've been there for 10 years, and I collaborate with senior leaders on how to solve their scaling problems, something that prevents you from smoothly increasing your teams, smoothly decreasing teams, that kind of thing. And I've had a bunch of platform leadership roles, some of them mentioned here. 5 teams, 20 services, up to 8 teams, 70 services. That was at a telco. We had about 3 years to do that. It took forever because we had a lot of monoliths that we had to consolidate and bring into a single pipeline, so a lot of the strangler fig pattern in use there. 10 teams, 50 services, up to 60, 600. That was in a UK government department. Before I worked in the public sector, I didn't realise that it's possible to actually say, we're going to have 20 more teams on Tuesday, and then to actually make that happen. I'm a lot older and wiser now. You can actually do that in government. They just press a button and all of these little developers come flying out of a rabbit hutch and just start coding. It's kind of scary. And the third experience here that's I think relevant today, we had 1 team and a service, and we went all the way up to 40 teams, 120 services. That was very, very complicated. We had a large on-premise legacy e-commerce platform, and we broke it up into many teams, many microservices, with a really well-built platform underpinning everything there. I've also written a couple of books around measuring continuous delivery and telling different DevOps stories. The measurements book is all really about how to automate DORA metrics and implement them for yourself. I published it about 6 months before Nicole Forsgren's Accelerate book, in a spectacular case of how not to time the market. And if anyone here is thinking of writing a book, please do come up afterwards and I'll talk you out of it for absolutely no charge at all. Just write a blog, don't do it. So, what is this platform engineering thing? Who was in Dave Farley's talk earlier? Okay, excellent. He's lovely, isn't he? Long-time mentor of mine, a sensei of mine for 15 years. He said in his talk, platform engineering is design done right. But of course, Dave says that about everything. When I wash my dishes at home, he rings me up and says, well done, Steve, that was design done right. He's like the Swiss Army knife of life nowadays. Everything, he just goes, that's design, that's design. Platform engineering isn't design done right. It's about enabler teams helping delivery teams to accelerate their technology outcomes. So that means delivery teams that increase their throughput, improve their reliability, improve their level of quality. Doing that for tens of teams at once. And part of that is design done right, I admit, reluctantly. The way that I describe it is usually through examples. So I did a talk last year, an event called DevOps Enterprise Summit about the maintenance mode problem. So at a lot of large organizations, you reach a situation where you have many teams, many services, and the money starts to dry up. And when that happens, then you need to go to a few teams and many services. And the classic solution to that is to chuck it over the wall to the operations team, and it'll all be just fine, except it won't, So what you want to do instead is to have multi-product teams arranged around verticals. And you can do that really well with platform engineering, right? Because you can very smoothly transfer services between teams or transfer people between teams with very few barriers. That's the kind of thing that platform engineering is really good for in the long term, not just, I don't know, launching loads of services at once. So, there's a dirty secret in platform engineering that people don't tend to talk about. I mentioned at the start 3 experiences of platform engineering that I'm proud of, happy with, spent a long time on. Of course, there have been many other situations where I've been involved in platform work or visited organizations doing platform work, and things haven't worked out so well. And that's because it's really easy to get platform engineering wrong. Okay? I don't know why. I wish I did. If I did, I'd warn you all and stop it, because I hate to see people repeat mistakes that I've made myself. But it's super easy to get it wrong. And in your organization, you probably only have one chance to get it right. There'll likely be a dispositionality against central teams. There'll be a suspicion of central teams owning all of your infra for you, owning decisions for you. And if you get it wrong, people aren't probably going to like you trying it a second time. If you get platform engineering wrong, you can really quickly contaminate your engineering culture, because not only are you making your life much more difficult, you're making your life difficult for the people that come after you and want to make things better in a different context. So, on that cheery thought, we'll look at 3 different platform engineering problems today. There are more, but I don't want to scare anyone too much. And I think post-pandemic, people can't really handle more than 3 things in 45 minutes. I know that for me, 3 things is like quite a lot. So we're going to talk about power tools. We'll talk about technology anarchy. We'll talk about ticketing hell. And what I hope to share with you is how ultimately all of these things occur because of the mindset that you need to have for platform engineering to be successful. Maybe that's the reason why it always goes wrong. People have the wrong mindset. I should think about that. Okay, so our first platform engineering screw-up is something I like to call power tools, with a colleague of mine, Ollie Shaw, who's done a lot of work on this. So what I mean by this is when your platform team creates platform capabilities that are underpinned by heavyweight, awesome, powerful tools like, I don't know, a Kubernetes runtime, Kafka for messaging, or Istio for a service mesh. There are many other power tools, obviously, like stop writing to me. Those aren't the only 3, but those are the most common ones, okay? So, what does this look like? Here we've got a fictional Danish transport company, and they are in a situation where they've got many teams. We're only showing 3 here because the screen is small. We've got a tracking team, a billing team, and a shipping team. They're consuming platform capabilities that include Kubernetes, Istio, and Kafka. And those are being built by a well-intentioned and super talented platform team. Okay, there are no Bond villains. No one's trying to do bad things. People just make mistakes. Okay, it's easily done. Power tools need a lot of maintenance. Your platform team is going to spend a lot of time building and running them, even if it's a managed service. It's inevitable. And on top of that, they generate a lot of unplanned work for your delivery teams. There will be configuration needs to be updated, there'll be patches that have to be applied, there'll be new techniques to work on. And often this is beyond the core competency of your delivery teams. They should be working on the product capabilities they're trying to build, not wrestling with YAML files. The way that you measure the impact of the power tools problem is the way that you measure any platform capability. Okay? There are 3 metrics you want to be thinking about. Number 1 is internal customer value. That's the extent to which you are accelerating your delivery teams. So the way you check that is you understand the speed, quality and reliability of the delivery teams, and then you attribute some of that to the impact of the platform team. Second metric is internal customer cost. That's the amount of unplanned tech work that you're creating for your teams. You might know this as rework rate from the Accelerate book, the fifth of four DORA metrics that Dr. Forsgren used to talk about. Google don't talk about it so much now that they're doing DORA. Don't know why not. What else are they not telling us? And the third metric is platform cost. Okay, so that's the time and effort it takes to actually build and run the capability. Don't think about this in terms of cloud cost, like that's a whole other thing. And your platform costs are going to be high. Okay, you're going to have a lot of engineers that need to babysit this thing, and they'll be expensive. So this graph next to our Power Tools visualization is my experience of building platform capabilities with really super heavyweight tools. Obviously, we want value to be high and costs to be low, like that's simple. Like I went to school, that's probably. And internal customer value here, we've got in purple, that's really high, that's good. Power tools can get you to where you need to go. They can accelerate your teams. They can improve speed, reliability, and quality. That's not in dispute, I don't think. But they require a lot of investment in time and effort. And that's why, in my experience, internal customer costs and platform costs are so high, shown here in blue and in green. Okay? They create so much extra work for your teams. And the thing about internal customer costs or unplanned tech work is, it's not something that we measure. It's really hard to measure unplanned tech work. You can't look at Jira stories for it because often it happens inside the work as it's happening. You can't look at, I don't know, code commit IDs because developers bury it inside of that work innocently or not so innocently. What you really need to do is to actually survey people and to ask people like how much of your week is being spent on unexpected tech work. And when teams use Power Tools time and again, what I hear is they're spending a lot of time just managing this stuff. And the platform costs, obviously, there's a lot to be done. You know, upgrading EKS, it looks as simple as pushing a button, but there's always some fallout, there's always extra stuff to be done. And we see this time and again with Kafka, with Istio and other Power Tools. Kafka is much worse than Kubernetes, but it's fun to pick on Kubernetes. Simon Wardley did today in his keynote. I knew he would because I did his workshop yesterday and he picked on Kubernetes then, much to my delight. Like a moth to a flame, Simon in Kubernetes, he can't help himself. So, what does the Power Tools problem feel like when you're actually in that situation? I've listened to the platform engineering experiences of some of our customers across the Equal Experts network, and I'll share some of their stories now. It'll be interesting to see if they resonate with folks in the crowd. So the first one, an American broadcaster, they had a platform lead that simply couldn't actually get their platform built because their platform engineers kept fighting to use Kubernetes and the delivery teams kept fighting to not use Kubernetes because they actually wanted to get some stuff done to hit their deadlines. The platform team won. They got Kubernetes used after months of arguments and months of implementation. It finally happened. But obviously that meant the delivery teams couldn't do anything for a substantial period of time. And the really strange thing was that no business justification could be given for implementing Kubernetes. How weird. Does anyone have a similar experience to this? Months to get Kubernetes installed, months of fighting over it. A couple of people, thank you for sharing. Yeah, I mean, it's fun to joke about, obviously, and I like joking about things because I've always had to think about the horrors of life, but it's never nice, right? Now, the second story here, this is my absolute favourite bit of the whole talk, and it's all true, just poorly anonymised to a point where I can't remember which country or company it actually was. So in this situation, we had a tech lead at a German e-commerce company, and their delivery team wasn't able to get anything really done on their platform because the platform team was all in on Istio. they used as many components, capabilities of Istio as they could, and they were self-managing on AWS. And the funny thing was that when delivery teams wanted to go faster by using more of Istio, the platform team was reluctant to do Istio upgrades, and that because the upgrade process was so painful. What they did at this German company was that when there was a new Istio version available, they would wait until a Dutch company they knew of did the upgrade first and published on their company blog the exact steps they'd taken for the upgrade, including how they deviated from the official upgrade plan. There was no business relationship between this Dutch company and this German company, but it was a technology dependency factored into project plans, and one of the German engineers had to learn Dutch to read that company blog. Anyone have a similar experience there of Istio perhaps, or any other power tool? Lots of upgrades, someone? Yep, okay. Working at a German company, learning Dutch, yep, that did happen. Alright, so we've fallen into power tools. We're in a tough situation. We screwed up. How do we get out of it? You need to lift and shift your workloads from heavyweight to lightweight capabilities. So what you do with that is you find the capability that you have that's causing the most pain for your delivery teams, that's generating the most amount of unplanned tech work for them. And when you find out that it's Kafka, then, because it will be, then that's where you get started. What you do is you call that Kafka-enabled capability version 1, and you lock it down so that new services can't use it. Then you create a V2 of that capability, something very similar API for your delivery teams, but use a lighter weight tool like Kinesis, for example. You ensure that all net new services go straight into your Kinesis solution, and then you lift and shift across the old teams as fast as you can. And the platform team has to do the migration for the delivery teams. They won't want to do it. It's the platform team that benefits from this directly. So with this visualization, we can see we've got our heavyweight V1 platform capabilities, Kubernetes, Kafka, Istio. But now our Danish transport company is moving to AppMesh, Kinesis, and Fargate. What does it all mean, Steve? It means that you can have a similar amount of internal customer value. You can have lower internal customer costs because tools like Fargate are going to generate far less work for your delivery teams. They can know less, they can do less with their technical solution, they can spend more time on planned product work, which is where they should be. And also your platform costs can be lower. You don't need as many babysitters. You don't have to constantly be looking after stuff. Your platform engineers can do higher value work. All right. So our second screw up is technology anarchy. This is when your platform gives your delivery teams the autonomy to make technology choices for themselves so they can go faster. That's good. But it doesn't give them the technical alignment they need to make good decisions for the organization as a whole, not just for their team. That's bad. Back to our Danish transport company. They've now got a CI/CD capability built on top of GitHub. Oh, cute little octopus cat thing. And unfortunately, the platform team have declined to build a central pipeline solution for the teams. So the teams have done it themselves. So 3 teams, that means 3 different tech stacks, and here they're Java, Python, and Scala. If I was in charge, they'd all be Java, but of course that's why I'm never put in charge of the tech stack, despite my repeated efforts to win control of it. And I think Java's due a comeback. It's been at least 5 minutes. So what happens with this? Lots of teams, lots of different tech stacks, lots of different test environments, lots of end-to-end testing hell, lots of long lead times, lots of stuff not going well. This is what happens when teams can run at speed but all in different directions and there's no real kind of situational awareness. If one pipeline breaks, for one delivery team. The platform team can't help. They don't know your tech stack. They don't know Ruby. They know Python. If you want to move some people between teams, if the tracking team has a problem, you need to move some people from billing. You can't do that. It's different tech stacks. People won't want to move between teams. And maybe you'll be reluctant to do it anyway, because there'll be tacit knowledge within one of those teams that you need to keep where it is. Okay? And if you want to exit all of your teams from GitHub to GitLab, because GitLab dump a truckload of money in your CTO swimming pool, then who's going to do that, right? That's a load of different migrations. That's going to be really painful. And you can chuck as much of that migration onto GitLab as you want, but it's still going to be a very time-consuming process. And who's going to dry all that money? So, when a platform capability gives delivery teams autonomy without alignment, it does produce internal customer value, like speed will go up for a while, reliability will go up for a while, that's undeniable. But it's only going to take them so far. Your teams aren't going to go as fast as they need to go, and that's because your out-of-the-box platform offering just isn't doing enough. And yes, your platform costs in green here are low because you aren't building a lot of the capabilities yourself. You're not building a central pipeline solution. You're not building a single observability solution. You're not building a single on-call solution centered around PagerDuty or VictorOps or something. But while the platform costs are low, your internal customer costs are super high because your delivery teams have to do so much themselves, right? There's no economies of scale here. There's no efficiencies. There's just a huge amount of cognitive load spread across all of your teams. What does technology anarchy feel like? We've got a delivery manager at a British telco. They actually invited me to visit this place because they were doing You Build It, You Run It with 20 teams, and they know that I'm a big champion of You Build It, You Run It. It's something Equal Experts is really good at. So they invited me to visit. They suckered me into it. You should come and see. And I was like, yeah, this sounds amazing. We've got 20 teams on GCP doing You Build It, You Run It. I'm like, yeah, tell me more. And then I got there, and the team boards didn't show a lot of progress, which was weird. And I said, this is strange, because you've got 20 teams that are doing You Build It, You Run It, which is amazing. Well done, you. But lead times are long, a lot of work in waiting columns. What's going on? And they said, we hope you could tell us that. So I looked at all the team boards and I said, I don't see the platform team's board here. Can I see that? And they said, what platform team? And I got this kind of falling sensation, when you're falling in a dream, you wake up and you're like, shit, what was that? They didn't have a platform team. They hadn't seen the need for it at the start. So they had 20 teams doing GCP in 20 subtly different ways. It wasn't 20 different solutions. But there were a load of teams on GK, some teams in Cloud Run, some teams in GAE. And the amount of work that went on just to keep GCP working was really, the teams were just drowning in that work. But it wasn't visible. So I suggested just run a survey. Ask your teams each week how much time you spent this week as a percentage working on GCP. And if the answer is more than 10%, you need a platform team. The answer was 45% in the first week. I was horrified. And I think they've got a platform team now, but that was a bit alarming, that one. And our second example, 10 teams at an American retailer, and all of them using RabbitMQ with their own homegrown customizations around it. A new architect joined the company, and they decreed that everyone should use Kafka for consistency. Unfortunately, I wasn't around to throw myself in front of the bus and say, this is a really bad idea. Please don't use Kafka. Because it's a power tool, right? It's going to generate a lot of unplanned tech work for teams. And that's exactly what happened. So the 10 teams had 10 different migrations. They took months to complete. And morale took a real hit. And of course, during that time, very little product work happened. When does anarchy happen? When you sacrifice alignment to gain autonomy because you wrongly believe that alignment and autonomy are binary choices opposite ends of the same line. It's not true. Everybody loves a 2x2. We're at a conference. I'm surprised there haven't been more 2x2s in Venn diagrams, but here's mine. So this is something I cooked up a couple of years ago. I got really tired of customers telling me how they were doing the Spotify model when they weren't. So I went to Stockholm to visit Crisp, the Swedish consultancy. I like Crisp, although they do get very angry if you don't eat their pickled herring in the mornings and salute them. So what we've got here is autonomy on the x-axis and alignment on the y-axis. What I find is most organizations are either in the top left or the bottom right. So the top left is technology autocracy. Okay, so that's high alignment and low autonomy. Lots of command and control, lots of rules, all technical decisions have to be funneled through one person. Absolutely one tech stack used for every situation, regardless of any kind of context. The architect forced everyone to use Kafka, for example. That's an autocratic decision. Technology autocracy is super common, and of course it means that teams can't go fast. But today we're talking specifically about technology anarchy. Okay, so this is where we've got low alignment, so no rules, because rules slow us down, so let's go fast. Lots of autonomy, but then of course everyone is running in different directions. Henrik Kniberg is here at this conference speaking at the moment about AI in the other room. He came up with a similar version of this for Spotify. You might remember, you might have seen it, the whole how do we cross the river, and in the bottom right people are just like, oh, I hope someone's doing a bridge. That's what this feels like in technology anarchy. Everyone's just off doing their own thing. To get out of technology anarchy, what you need to do is to move up into aligned autonomy into the top right. So that's where you have high alignment and high autonomy together. And the way you do that is through contextual alignment. You give teams guidelines, you let them make their own choices, but within a context of what is best for the organization. Okay, and then sometimes there'll be exceptions. People won't follow the guidelines, and that's okay. But the majority of people should, and you need to verify that that's what's happening. All right, so we're in anarchy. We've screwed up. How do we get out? You need to build technical alignment into paved roads. You need to free up your delivery teams to make higher order choices by solving the lower order problems for them based on that alignment. So the way you do that is you ask your engineering leadership to provide technical alignment. You don't actually say it in those words because that sounds awfully scary and complicated. Just ask them for three things, okay? Ask them for guidelines on your tech stack, like what do they expect the tech stack to be? Ask them for expectations, like what would it mean for their guidelines to be met? What does it look like? And three, ask them for the business consequences of not following their alignment, which is a way of unearthing value, just by talking about what happens if we don't do something. I don't mean personal consequences, okay? I mean business consequences. So if you break down alignment into guidelines, expectations, business consequences, it's much easier for people to wrap their heads around it, okay? Once you have that from your engineering leadership, implement it in terms of paved roads. In the case of our Danish transport company, all hopped up on bread and apple juice, what we've done is we've got a situation now where the platform team has built a single GitHub pipeline template, and everyone has to use a Python tech stack because engineering leaders have been asked, what should our tech stack be? And they've said, everyone should use Python because it's easy to recruit for that. And it can do most of everything, which is all true. I'd go for Java, but like I said, that's why I'm not in charge. Once we've got this single pipeline template, yes, you have to help your teams to migrate across to it. But there's a number of advantages here, right? Now, if a pipeline breaks, the platform team can fix it once for everybody. You can move people between teams, and they understand the tech stack straight away. They just have to pick up the business logic. Okay? It's a much simpler world. And once you've implemented that technical alignment, share it with the delivery teams and verify that they're following it as well. An easy way to do that is to store expectations, guidelines, consequences in machine-readable decision records, and then scrape them into a platform portal, add some automated checks, and then you can actually Verify that that's what people are actually doing. They're following that technical alignment when it's relevant to their service. All right, what does this mean? It means there's a better situation for everyone when you've got alignment and autonomy together. Internal customer value goes up because your teams can go so much faster. Now, not only do they have autonomy to make choices, they have alignment to make good choices for the whole organization. There's very little chance of somebody turning up and saying, you're using the wrong tech stack, that needs to change, you shouldn't be in RabbitMQ, you should be in Kafka. Right? People are on the same page, there's going to be much less rework. And there's much lower internal customer costs because the delivery teams don't have to build so much of the technical solution for themselves. A team just plugs into the platform, they just get everything for free when it comes to observability or deployments or on-call or anything like that. And yes, your platform costs are higher because your platform team has to do more now. And that's okay. You want to have internal customer value as high as possible, internal customer costs as low as possible, and you want to just manage your platform costs. That's when you're in a good place. All right. Last problem. Ticketing hell. This is when your platform team is acting like an ops service desk. So what I mean by that is they do everything for your delivery teams, okay? Everything. They do configuration, deployments, on-call, monitoring. They take care of everything for you. And it's all done through Jira tickets. So if you want to talk to your platform team, if you want to ask a favor, you have to send it in for a ticket. And then you have to wait a while for the work to actually happen. Anyone have any familiarity with this situation? Pretty much everybody in the room except one person at the front who's like, I've never been in ticketing hell, I have no idea what this is. Very lucky. It's coming, don't you worry. No, don't shrug, it's coming. You're like, oh, I'll get out of it. I'm fine. I'm in Denmark, I'll be fine. This isn't America. Okay, so, stop talking about Denmark. Ticketing hell. What this feels like is there's just a mountain of tickets that just can't be seen. Okay, there's a huge amount of work happening at any given time, and it's all happening by one team. So at our Danish transport company, they've got a bunch of platform capabilities now, all in AWS. That's awesome, and it all has to happen through Jira. Okay, so everything is just raise a ticket, and then wait for the work to happen. Wait for the platform team to implement it. And when there's lots of tickets, that means one thing, it means lots of queues, and that means lots of queuing. When platform capabilities are ticket-driven, internal customer value is low because you simply aren't accelerating your delivery teams, okay? And that's because your platform team, who I want to remind you are well-intentioned and talented, not Bond villains, they just can't keep up with demand. The reason they aren't reaching your tickets is not because they hate you, it's because they're sad, it's because they're overworked, it's because they're burning out, it's because they're trying to run 24/7. Yes, internal customer costs are low because the delivery teams have so little to do themselves, but your platform costs are absolutely astronomical, okay? There are many ways that ticketing hell kind of surfaces itself, and one is you're constantly adding more platform engineers into your platform team. And then what happens after that is somebody will say to you, this platform team's going too slowly, Steve, I've got an idea. Let's have a second platform team that goes around the first platform team. And they'll handle the basics, the core concepts. And then when that team is going too slowly, then somebody will say, I know what to do, Steve. Let's add a third, no, they don't say add a third team. What they'll say then is, let's embed platform engineers in the delivery teams. That will speed them up. And it's at that point you have to seriously ask yourself, are there any platform engineers left in your country that you haven't hired yet? And why are they all so sad? Why are they all burning out? Sorry. Okay, what does ticketing hell feel like? We've got a tech lead, a new starter at a Dutch bank. On their first day, they raised a ticket to their platform team asking for access to code repositories. And they had to wait 11 weeks before that ticket was picked up and completed. So they were effectively locked out of their new employer system. So they paired with people in the office on someone else's laptop. They did what they could. They felt unproductive. They felt like they weren't a part of the company. Their team said to them, don't worry, get used to it. That's what life is like here. And that's why you shouldn't work for a bank. And second, we've got, it's okay, no bank's ever going to hire me, I'm safe. Second, we've got a delivery manager at an Australian telco. Now, at this company, they have a lot of services, a lot of environments in a couple of different product lines, and you need to have a ticket for any deploy into any environment. So that's just a combinatorial explosion. So this poor delivery manager is spending their life just managing tickets. Every day is a prioritization meeting. Every day the platform team's queue of work is flipped upside down as someone else gets their way and sulks and gets their ticket done first. And this happens because you've forgotten about handoffs. Okay? So when you raise a ticket into your platform team, it's not the amount of time it takes to complete the ticket that matters. It's the time you have to wait for your ticket to be started that matters. Here's an easy example. So we're on the billing team. We have a ticket that we need the platform team to complete. It's going to take 1 day. But we have to wait 5 days first. The lead time is 6 days, not 1 day. And that's because there's a tracking ticket first. There's a shipping ticket first. There's a platform ticket first. Okay? This is what happens whenever you allow a team of specialists to intentionally or unintentionally silo themselves away. It could be your network admins, it could be your platform engineers, it could be your DBAs. That's a very common one. Just don't let people do this, okay? It's not a good situation. All right, so we're in ticketing hell. How do we escape? You need to take the high demand tasks, the tasks that form the majority of that ticket mountain, and turn them into self-service paved roads. So the way we do that is we measure the different tasks that the platform team has to do. We prioritize an action that if we automate it today, it will move the needle for a lot of delivery teams. It's going to create a positive impact. Like, give yourself some good PR. You deserve it. And we build an automated self-service function that teams can use to complete that action for themselves. Maybe it's create new service. Maybe it's deploy my service. Maybe it's generate my observability dashboards for me. But whatever it is, you're lifting that task out of the platform team. And then you visualize a fully automated audit trail, and you put that back into your platform portal. And by doing that, teams and stakeholders can understand actions and their implications. This is how you build up confidence in platform engineering, in terms of it being self-service, in terms of being alignment as guidelines rather than rules, in terms of getting rid of power tools. You do it in the open. You put everything out into a platform portal so people can see for themselves what's going on. Okay? You'll know that that's succeeding when people stop using spreadsheets. All right, one final trip to our Danish transport company. They have taken all of their crazy ticketing queues and turned them into self-service functions. Now, the tracking team, the billing team, the shipping team can complete functions for themselves. Now the platform team are building and running platform capabilities. They don't even know what services are running on their platform. Teams can do you build it, you run it. What does it all mean? It means a massive uptick in internal customer value because now teams can move much faster. Okay? So speed will go up, quality will go up, reliability will go up. And it means internal customer costs are going to be just fine. And the platform costs are going to be better. Like, the platform team isn't doing so much for themselves. Yes, they do have to build and maintain those self-service workflows. That's inarguable. but they won't have to carry out so many basic rote tasks every single day for all of those delivery teams. All right, what have we learned about platform engineering? When you think about power tools or technology anarchy or ticketing hell, there's really one common theme underneath them, like one thing I want you to remember and take back to your desks when you go back to work on Monday. I'm sure you're looking forward to it. Platform engineering needs a product mindset. Okay? That's the single most important thing. Maybe that's why platform engineering goes wrong so often, that there is a product mindset missing on day one. I don't know. But what I do know is, if your platform team treats your platform as a project, then they're going to fail. If they act like gatekeepers rather than enablers, they will fail. And if they think even for a second that build it and they will come will actually work, it doesn't, then they're going to fail. Okay? And I use the word think very deliberately there because this is about a mindset. All right? You could have a platform product manager. You could have really talented platform engineers. You could have central funding. And your platform team can still fail, and I have seen that. Okay? And it's because the mindset is missing. It's because the product manager wasn't empowered to actually build platform features, to experiment, take risks, to talk to the delivery teams. You need to increase internal customer value, reduce internal customer costs, and manage platform costs. And you do that by trying things. You do that by talking to your teams, like maybe have a user researcher on your platform team. Would it really kill you? Instead of stuffing that team full of Kubernetes engineers looking to gild their CVs? Right? Like, the most important thing to think about is your platform is a product that has dedicated teams on it, and you have to get the product right, because if you don't, your delivery teams aren't going to forget about it. Okay? So, thank you very much for having me. Always wanted to speak at GOTO Copenhagen. Thanks to the AV folks for looking after me. Other than that, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm around this evening. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.